Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Stacey Willey. I'm giving you a quick tip today. I'm with Complete Balance Chiropractic, a Wellness Way affiliate in Rock Island, Illinois. And we're going to talk today about helping your child with ADD, ADHD 101. And I'm going to try to do a couple more about ADD and ADHD because it's an important topic to me because I have been actually labeled ADHD when I was in college. And so I want to touch on that subject a little bit. There's some questions that I want you to ask yourself regarding your child. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. I had trouble in school pretty much from middle school on. I had trouble taking tests. I had trouble retaining information and learning things because I just wasn't retaining information the way I was taught. And so once I got to college, I was still having a really hard time. And I went to this doctor who decided, well, let's do some testing. I think you might have ADD or ADHD if you are, still having some problems. So I did some series of testing. It was really different. There's no standardized test with ADD or ADHD, but there's a lot of symptoms and guidelines that they follow. So with that, I had this doctor just hand me a baggie of drugs and tell me, hey, why don't you try taking these and see what works for you? And as a college student, I obviously didn't put two and two together, but I just thought, it wasn't really working for me, but I saw that there was a little Ritalin pill. So I thought, I know what that is. I'll try taking that to see if that helps. It didn't really help me in my studies, and I had no idea that Ritalin, in the class that it's in the same drug class as cocaine. So I don't know. I guess now I wouldn't really want anybody taking cocaine. It's not the best. So some of the questions to ask is why, and this might be a little hard to see, is a child's behavior is not always what it seems. Children's behavior is communication. They're trying to communicate with you. On the surface, it may seem that they could be acting like a total jerk, or they can't sit still, they can't control themselves. But that's what we don't see. Are they trying to get attention? Is their nervous system really going crazy? Are they just not able to sit still? Because that happens. But we have to think about what's going on with the kid. So how is their nervous system? That would be my number one. Of course, I'm a chiropractor, but I also want to see what's going on. The brain is the main part of your nervous system, and it tells everything else in your body what to do. But why do I have a low back picture here? Well, your brain isn't the only thing that's telling isn't only where your nervous system is in the nerves. They're finding out through research that a lot of your nervous system is in your guts. And so when I see this picture, not only do I look at the spine and see how well the pelvis and the spine are doing, but I see all these bubbles right in here. And that's telling me that there's some inflammation in the guts. And so I need to ask further questions about the child. Food for thought. And here's the food for thought. My other question is, what are they eating? Junk in equals junk out. And believe me, junk food is delicious, but it creates a lot of problems, not only in your body, but it'll affect your brain and how you're processing things. So that's why I stay away from it. So if you see if your kid's eating a lot of Mountain Dew, they have a lot of pop. I mean, I've seen young kids, young as 2 years old, they've got Mountain Dew going through them. And that's a lot of sugar and that's a lot of bromines, and it's just not good for anybody. And also, have your kids been tested, food allergy tested? The right food could be wrong for you. You could be eating some of the right foods that you think are nutritious and good for them, but it could be affecting them mentally because they're not getting the right nutrients, or they could have an allergy to certain foods. And I have a lot of children in my practice where oh yes, we've had their IgE, or we've had their food allergies tested, and most of the time they're IgEs. And that's not the only food test that can be done. You can test them on their IgGs, which are delayed allergic reactions that could be affecting what's going on in their bodies and their mental status. Are they getting out enough play or exercise, or are they getting too much screen time? There is a lack of play, recess, and exercise going on in public schools these days. And what we need to do with that is we need to increase that. And if you have to do it on your own, you should take time and do it on your own. My sister has when they were younger, they were very active little boys. So she would even take them to play at a playground before she dropped them off at school, just so they could get some energy out and maybe be able to settle down and think a little bit better. And it was quite productive. What they also are trying to do in classrooms, there's kids that just can't sit still. I am not one of those people that can sit still very easily, especially when I'm asked to. So they were actually, in classrooms, they're now using some exercise balls or stand-up tables where they can move and jitter around a little bit, and they can do a lot more constructive activities. The play and exercise, take them after school to play. Get them when you get home from work to play. It's one of those things where they need to be active instead of staring at a screen. Because I know personally of what I've seen with my nephews and my own child, if they have a lot of screen time or computer time or iPad time, they get really cranky and pretty defiant because their brains just can't go along with what's going on the screen. It's just a little too much. And my number one thing is, how do they actually learn? And a lot of times people expect there's different types. There's auditory, visual, there's kinesthetic. Sometimes those can be mixed together. But you need to figure out how your child learns, or even how you learn if you're still having some problems. Because if you're trying to take it, let's just go for an adult. If you're trying to take a class and somebody's just talking and talking and talking, and you're trying to listen, but you're not putting from brain to paper and actually writing with your hand, that's creating a visual effect. Not necessarily all the kinesthetic, but you're creating a, brain to hand thing where you are actually writing things out. And that's going to stimulate a learning process in your brain. And so a lot of times, even if you just sit and listen to a teacher and be like, I have no idea what they said, or I don't understand why I'm not learning, or why the teacher is asking questions on tests that I don't even remember her talking about. So that is one of the things that I suggest being done. I did it in college, finally learned how to study and made it to a professional, a doctorate level where I could actually learn, retain information, and graduate. And so not only do I think anyone can do it, anyone can do this, but they have to be, encouraged, and you got to figure out how to do it. And if we can get our kids, figure out how our kids are learning, they're going to be way more productive in school. So those are my quick tips. Oh, wait, the label. We don't want to erase the label. What I want to do is erase the label, because when kids, you find, I've heard some teachers in the past, they're like, oh, we're going to have this student. They have, behavior problems. They come with this label because in school, if they can't sit still or there's one little thing, they get it, the parents are actually encouraged to either go see a medical doctor and get them on some drugs just so they turn into little zombies. And you want to take these children's gifts that they have, because they are really gifts. They can do amazing things, and they don't need to be stuck with a label for the rest of their school career, because they will be treated differently, and it's not fair. And I got treated differently, and it wasn't fair. So I think these are some of the tips that I can give you, and I'm going to give you some more tips later on about things you can do with your kid. I'm going to talk about some nutrition, and we're going to talk about some of the medications that can come with it. But for now, these are my quick tips on helping your child with ADD and ADHD. And you guys have a great day.